It's the morning after the night before England versus New Zealand, and just trying to reflect on kind of what I saw yesterday. And I think, to be honest with you, without a shadow of a doubt, it's the best England performance I've ever seen from a team, which is a sad thing for me to say, because I was obviously lucky to play for England, but I just don't think anything we put together was quite as good as that. And I just think every player was fantastic. You know, in the week we obviously do the House of Rugby podcast and we talk about things, and I was doing some stuff at England Travel, and I was asked by loads of people, are we going to win? And I say, yes, we are going to win. And people say, no, but really? I was like, no, we're going to win. We're 100% going to win. And I genuinely believed it. To see it in action and how we won was kind of mind-blowing. And I just think that every single player was brilliant. I think, if you know Eddie Jones and Neil Hatley and Steve Borthwick, and I haven't, unfortunately haven't worked with John Mitchell before, but what they put together as a coaching staff is just unparalleled, really. I think, the defence yesterday was the best I've ever seen. The line speed, they were knocking New Zealand back 15, 20 metres behind the game line every time, challenging them. They looked like they had nowhere to go. And I know we gave them a soft try from a line-out, but that happens, That happens in international rugby. It's inches everywhere you go. I thought, from a personal perspective, from the back row, I thought Sam Underhill was, again, incredible. I think, both him and Tom Curry probably outperformed any back row that's gone before. I think they were incredible. They just were inspiring in the contact area. Sam Underhill banging people. Tom Curry so quickly on the ball, both of them being noisy. I thought Billy does what he does so well, just carrying, soaking in defenders. Kyle Sinclair playing like a 10, Owen Farrell, I loved it at the Hacker. I said when we in the week, I talked about the Hacker not being intimidating and being motivating, and you saw that firsthand. People criticised me and said, "Oh, look, you're being racist, you're being bigger." I said, "No, talk about its cultural significance." I didn't say there was anything wrong with it. I just said, as a player and an ex-player, talking about it from a different perspective, that actually it's not that intimidating. It's very inspiring, and you saw it in Owen Farrell's face. And I think it was incredible to see the action. I think Maro Itoje, to watch him kind of progress from my first kind of training session with him in England to the World Cup prep for 2015, to watch him now, the guy is a beast. He's so influential in the games now. I think he's only going to get better, and his team's still very young. Billy V's 26 in the back row. He's one of the older guys. Obviously great to see Dan Cole, 2015 missing out and getting that opportunity. Mark Wilson hasn't played at all. He went from being player of the tournament in the autumn to being in the Six Nations, to being a guy that couldn't get into the team because of Lewis, and then coming off the bench and getting that turnover and just doing your roles. And that's the importance. Eddie says it every time in a press conference. It's about the 23, it's about the 31, it's about all those players, and you can see how tight they are and how passionate they are and how clever things, how well they've worked in the mental side of the game. And I just think, look, whatever happens next week in the final, it is just so important to appreciate how good an achievement this is, and how good these boys have been, and what a masterstroke it's been, and how it's been about pushing habits and standards. People always turn up at the beginning of a campaign or beginning of a World Cup tenure and talk about, oh look, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but then they let stuff slide, and it's like a thing knowing that Eddie has driven his staff, and the players have driven each other, and the staff have driven Eddie to have those standards every single day and absolutely live it, breathe it, deliver it, and then shock the world like they did beating New Zealand. And I think it shouldn't have been a shock, but it's what happens. I don't think people mainly said that we were going to win and then didn't really believe it, but to do it like we did against the world's best team, was just amazing. So I'm very excited to see. That's just my thoughts on the World Cup so far in regards to England. I'm so excited to see it. I'm obviously very jealous, very sad that I'll never get to play in a final, but to be honest with you, judging by the way these boys are playing, I wouldn't even get anywhere near the team. I wouldn't even make the bin juice. So I'm very excited to watch it as a fan and see everyone do brilliantly well, and hopefully lift that silverware and lift that trophy.